Hello and welcome. My name is Deirdre Coyne and welcome to our podcast today. I am delighted to be joined by Bridgene Baker, who is a alcohol-free coach and a positive psychology coach. So welcome, Bridgene.
Hi, Deirdre. Thanks for having me.
Not at all. Thank you for being here. So really what we're having a chat about today is your journey, how you've doing what you're doing, how you've come to all that your wonderful work that you do. So take me back and tell us your story.
Okay, so I'm 51 years old. I'll be 52 this year. But when I was yeah, just a baby. When I was in my 20s, 30s, and actually my early 40s to some degree, I was always quite the party girl. I loved going out, getting people together, drinking, very much a social butterfly, if you like. It was my thing. Loved big weekends away, holidays. So, and everything, like a lot of people, everything revolved around drinking and having fun. And that was, and that was fine. In those days, I was able to recover a little bit quicker. I found then as I entered my early 40s, I was getting a little bit harder to recover. Again, it's not that uncommon. But I really hit about 45, to be honest. And I found myself drinking more at home. It crept into drinking wine in the evenings. I had a very busy job at the time as a project manager, but I entered a part of my life where I suddenly had quite unexpected bouts of severe anxiety, in really severe brain fog, and aches and pains. Lots of aches and pains, especially for me in my legs and my hips. Sort of going to bed in pain, waking up in pain, but mainly the anxiety. And I think I found that what I was doing is, having a drink to unwind more and more and more. I felt like I needed it.
Yeah. And I guess with anxiety, there is that sort of snowball effect that perhaps once we become conscious of it, it starts then to impact a lot of your day. And then is I need something to cope with that.
It massively impacted my day. I started finding myself that the simplest things that I used to do, without thinking about it, were suddenly terrifying. I had very physical anxiety symptoms, like real fight or flight. My heart would pound, my mouth would dry, my throat would constrict. I'd have ringing in my ears over something as simple as introducing myself in a meeting. And I couldn't figure out what was going on. I went for hypnotherapy at the time. I learned about tapping. So I did try to get help. I really tried to do what I could. But the reality was, while all that was going on, in the evenings, I would either go out with my colleagues because I was working away and drink wine, with dinner, or go out and drink, or I would drink at home, to unwind and to manage my stress. But of course, I'd wake up in the morning, well, usually at about 3 a.m, but I'd wake up in the morning feeling awful, still in pain, with my anxiety through the roof. My heart would be pounding and I'd just feel awful. That went on for a really long time, to the point where I even took a job with less responsibility to manage my health, to help myself, to be less in the limelight, if you like, because I was starting to get this regular anxiety feelings during the day, and I really felt like it was impacting my day-to-day life. So I took a job though I was in more of a supportive role and less in the limelight, and that did help for a little while. But of course I carried on drinking and unwinding in the evenings. So and that sort of went right on till lockdown, to be honest. So I was 40, 47, 48 years old by that time. So I was clearly going through the menopause, didn't really realize it at the time, and going through physical changes, like, anxiety, brain fog, aches and pains. And then talking to my friends, I started to realize a lot of people were in similar boats, but they had different symptoms. And there's millions of symptoms for the menopause, as you know.
I believe,
Yeah. One of my friends had sore elbows, which, so we would sort of laugh about it, but I never changed anything apart from my job. And I tried to improve my sleep, and, I tried to do things to help myself, but I never ever thought about stopping drinking. It just didn't occur to me at all.
So how did that come about?
Yeah, so 2020, as we all know, we entered into lockdown. So overnight, we were all working from home, and I was no different to anybody else. I was working at home. I was working on a desk out of my bedroom. My son was he wasn't being homeschooled because he was at that age where he was doing his GCSEs, so he was around. So I was functioning, fine. I was working, parenting, cooking. I was getting out for the allotted time we were allowed out for exercise. But every evening I would, crack open the wine, because there was no control there anymore. I didn't have to drive in the morning. That was a big thing for me. So suddenly, rather than it being just the weekends, it sort of crept into being more frequent. So, March, April, and May, in lockdown, it just crept up and up and up. And obviously, in lockdown, everybody was anxious. Everybody was feeling out of sorts, So, and I think my anxiety just went off the chart, to be honest. So, yeah, my drinking levels definitely increased. And I know that a lot of people experienced the same. It was a bit like a free pass, wasn't it? Nobody, I mean, because I was turning up to work, I was turning up to life, nobody would have thought anything different.
Yeah. So still functioning, as it were, still.
Yeah, absolutely. And it wasn't out of control. Nothing bad ever happened. I'd open a bottle of wine in the evening, and I'd finish the bottle of wine that evening. I'd go to bed, wake up in 3 a.m. with a heart pounding, thirsty, feeling rough. But the next day, my anxiety would just increase and increase. I started experiencing quite a lot of migraines as well around that time. I'd had a few migraines before, and I was told by my doctor that it was just part of the menopause, because I'd never had migraines before. But they started increasing in frequency. I gave myself quite a few scares over that little period, with a couple of migraines, So I knew I wasn't in a good place. I was feeling awful.
But still
I've
not
said it.
connecting perhaps what might have been helping, using other strategies to cope with anxiety, cope with menopause, other than perhaps reducing the wine.
It never once occurred to me, really, that my menopause symptoms and the anxiety that I was experiencing and the general day-to-day malaise, I knew that I was drinking too much, but I didn't really correlate how much, my drinking was adding to my anxiety. I didn't join the dots. Not really.
Yeah.
With hindsight, it seems ludicrous, but at the time, I think I was just too much in the thick of it. And, I've said to loads of people since then, and lots of people say it, but I was sick and tired of feeling sick and tired. Just totally, that's how I felt. I felt just broken. And every day on the news, there was, the death count. I had to stop watching the news. We all became sort of flooded with these daily figures, and that early March, April, May, that early lockdown, was really hard for me, just in particular with my drinking. And it did creep up. I really did notice it creeping up. But to anybody that was talking to me on Zooms or in work or just parents and family, I was fine, because that's what I told them. But I wasn't fine. So, but yeah, around that time, a friend of mine, really close friend, we were having regular Zooms, and every time she rocked up to these Zooms, she looked really, really healthy, and her hair was really shiny, and she just looked really good. And I asked her, what are you doing? She was like, oh, well, I'm taking this opportunity, and I'm just not drinking. And it just, astonished me. Because I couldn't contemplate how anybody could do that. I didn't know that it was possible. I'd never thought about it before.
Nor
But
would you want to.
no, I just couldn't imagine a life where wine wasn't in it. It was such a big part of my life. So yeah, but she looked amazing, and it sort of planted a seed, really. But not straight away. I didn't do anything straight away. Of course, I thought about it for quite a while. And then yeah, at the end of May, 2020, I'd had, like a Friday night, a Saturday night, by the time I got to Sunday, I was just feeling so awful. I decided that I'm going to do this 90-day break. And that's where it all started. So I took a 90-day break. I didn't even think I'd get past the first weekend. Just was so convinced I was going to fail. I didn't tell anybody I was doing it, because I just didn't think it was possible. But I did get through the first week, second week, third week. And anyway, yeah, I got up to 90 days. Couldn't believe it myself. But in that 90 days, we'd started coming out of lockdown. We were able to go out again and everything. So come September time, I hit my 90 days, and I felt so different, and my anxiety was reduced so much, and my aches and pains and everything I just felt so different that I couldn't not go for longer. I had to give myself a year, I was like, so, but even then, a year, that sounds a long time, doesn't it? When you're in a position where your head is telling you that, that's too long.
Yeah.
Just do this 90 days and then go back to drinking. But yeah, I was curious enough about the benefits that were coming my way that I carried on. I carried on for a year. So that's how it started, literally drinking too much in lockdown. But I had been drinking quite a long time before that as well, decades.
And your symptoms of the anxiety felt more controllable or reduced. Your physical, so your menopausal symptoms, were they any better, or were you still experiencing?
No, definitely better. I mean, I do still, and I did still get the odd bout of anxiety, but it was so much reduced. It was noticeably different. My aches and pains, miraculously went away. You know, I'm not saying I'm totally pain free. We all have aches and pains from time to time, but I was in a lot of pain, especially in my hips and my legs. Yeah, and I suppose it's information, but it just petered off over time, so it was so much noticeably different. Like, I couldn't believe it. I just felt calmer, you know. And when I've been asked before, about the biggest difference in that 90 days, is I would say before I did it, I had this noise in my head. I always describe it as this white noise, this constant dialogue, and anxiety, and it went away, just disappeared. So, you can't, when you have things like that happen to you and you witness it and experience it firsthand, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. And was the next step when we met, so with the RTOA diploma?
Yes, that's right. So, well, I got to my year of alcohol free, and I felt really good. I was really proud of myself. But you do sort of go, well, what do I do now? So I had a little moment of, what do I do now? Where do I go from here? I carried on not drinking. I just didn't think that I was ready to jump off the bandwagon, if you like. And it's around that time that I started getting more interested in self-development, because when you go alcohol free, suddenly you see the world with new eyes, and you start wondering what else you can do, what else you're capable of. And I started getting really interested in making other positive changes in my life. So I did a course, like a self-development course, and on the back of that I found out about the Arete Way coaching course that Andy Ramage runs. And yeah, I signed up to that. And again, it was a bit like, oh my God, what am I doing? This is, this is scary. It was really scary. You might remember that. But yeah, that's where we met, did.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, remember at that time thinking, why am I studying again? Why am I going
Yeah.
to do all of those things? And in my case, it was like, oh, I'm far too old to be doing this again. And but the not for me as much. It was just such an enjoyable journey, and then being
Yes.
able to help and to support other people. And I know for you, that's what gives you joy day to day, is that you're now helping other people, you're sharing your journey.
Exactly. Andy talks a lot, in his course and when he's talking about it, about having that pull, that you can't quite describe, but that pull to go out and help others, and yeah, I definitely got that pull. I couldn't quite articulate it, but I knew that I wanted to give back, because as I got more and more progressed in my alcohol-free journey, I found naturally people would be either curious and ask you questions, or people would reach out and ask for support. And I liked being able to help them and guide them and give them advice and tips. And I got a lot from it. So even though I was in a full-time job, and I still am, you get, it's very rewarding being able to support other people and watch them come out of that, that sort of cycle that they're in. Drink, recover, drink. It's a cycle, and it seems like it's impossible to escape. And so, but I know you can escape it because I did it. And I love being able to watch other people get their spark back, so yeah, it was a really good course, and I learned a lot. And you can definitely apply, just everything with coaching to helping others thrive. That's what it's about.
Yeah. And not, I suppose, the work that you do around the alcohol-free coaching and positive psychology is just that it's not about giving up alcohol as much. Yes, it is. That's the sort of the first step that makes everything clearer. It makes everything
Yes.
healthier. It makes everything better. But then the bit, and that's the RTOA, isn't it? That the next stage is what now? The positive psychology piece, the personal development. It's just the beginning of the journey, really. And I'm sure with your coachees and the people, your clients that you're working with, particularly around that menopause stage, perimenopause,
Yes.
it just becomes a personal development journey.
It is. It's a real journey. You've got bit going alcohol free. I mean, I bang on about it to anybody nowadays, from the person that was a real social butterfly that couldn't picture having a life without alcohol in it. I'm all for, it's not just about not drinking. It's about creating this life for yourself where alcohol is irrelevant. It's just irrelevant. I can drink if I want to drink. I'm a grown up, but I'm choosing not to because I am better without it. I'm better this way. And yeah, the work that I'm doing with my clients is about understanding, the everybody's unique drinking patterns and habits and triggers and beliefs. And so exploring those and really challenging those. But then also, what else? What else are we capable of? Because once you go alcohol free, I believe firmly that that's the door that opens, that opens other doors. It starts making you look at other areas of your life that you might not necessarily have known are lower scoring, if you like.
Yeah.
You might be lacking in connection, or you might need to move your body more, or we've always got stuff that we want to work on. But in my belief, yeah, once you go alcohol free, or you have a very good stint of being long enough without alcohol in your system and training yourself to not rely on it, every evening or every social function, the world just opens up right in front of you. It does change. It changes the way you look at the world totally. And I'm big on gratitude, positivity, And so the work that I am doing with my clients isn't just all about not drinking. It's always a focus, obviously, because we can't get complacent, but it's about getting, 90 days, 100 days under your belt and just opening up your eyes and building this amazing alcohol-free life. Yeah.
And if anyone who's listening wants to begin that journey with you, where is the best place to find you?
Okay, so I've got a page. I'm Bridgene, alcohol-free positive psychology coaching. I'm on Facebook. You'll see my ginger locks sticking out on the page. Yeah, message me. I'm on LinkedIn as well under my regular name, Bridgene Baker. But yeah, I'm really, I love helping women that were in the same boat that I was in, perimenopausal, menopausal women, just feeling stuck, It's so easy to get stuck in a rut and to feel low, and you're not really living your life. You're sort of, you're coasting through life. And to watch people just change and join the dots, join the dots, your menopause symptoms, your brain fog, your aches and pains, your anxiety, all of the other, symptoms that you get, that, wine, beer, vodka, none of it helps menopause symptoms. It might feel like it, but it really doesn't help. It exasperates the symptoms. And, you don't realize just quite how much until you cut that one thing out. And all I say to people is, well, give it a go. Have a break. See how you feel. And nobody's saying forever. I mean, forever is a long time. Have a break. And at the end of the break, then assess how you feel and then take it from there.
Yeah.
But yeah, join the dots. Alcohol and menopause, they're not friends.
No, they're not.
No.
And as you were speaking about just those different areas and how somebody said to me the other day, I just want to feel like myself, before the last years or whatever have happened. I just want to feel like me again.
Yeah. And it's soul destroying to see people. I mean, I'm working with people now that have used the words, I'm broken. And they're not. They're feeling broken. But they're, I'm broken. And this takes work. It takes commitment and courage and a degree of selfishness, really. But it's so worth it. It's important. We're not on this planet for long. This is one stage of our life, like the perimenopause, the menopause, where we don't have to give up and sit in and do nothing. We can live a really full and happy life, however that looks for you, without drowning it in wine and numbing our emotions. It's totally possible. I have now met loads of people that have done it, and I'm working with people that are thriving. Even after 2-3 weeks, they are coming alive before my very eyes. It's beautiful. It really is.
And it's the gift that you give. So thank you for doing that. Thank you.
No, thank you for having me.
And we'll speak soon.
Thank you, Deirdre. Thank you.
Bye.